Today we're going to be going over the basic concepts of trigonometry, talking about 3 trigonometric ratios, dealing with the most basic triangle known to humanity, which is the 3, 4, 5 right triangle. You know that 3 squared plus 4 squared equals 5 squared. Okay? Now, one of the things you'll notice is all of the angles are capital letters. Capital A, capital B, capital C. Those all represent the measures of the angles. All the lowercase letters, lowercase a, lowercase b, lowercase c, they represent the lengths of the sides. You should always know where your hypotenuse is on your triangle. Okay? So here are the 3 basic trig ratios. You're going to write all the way out, you're going to write sine, cosine, and the word tangent. Okay? We have sine, we have cosine, and we have tangent. Now the sine and the cosine and the tangent always refer in reference to a particular angle. So the angle we're going to choose today, we're going to choose A. So I want you to write condensed. The abbreviation for sine is S-I-N. You'll notice you can find that on your graphing calculator. The condensed version of cosine, or the abbreviation is C-O-S, and for tangent, T-A. So on your graphing calculator, you should find the sine button, the cosine, and the tangent button. If you want to know where those are, they're right here. Here's sine, here's cosine, here's tangent. Sine, cosine, tangent. We'll use those in a little bit. They're right here. They're right here. Sine, cosine, tangent. Now, everybody, next to the sine of A and the cosine of A and the tangent of A, I want you guys to write these words, and we'll talk to you about what these words mean. For the sine of A, I want you to write full words. Write down opposite side in relationship to the hypotenuse. For the cosine of A, I want you to write this word, adjacent side, in relationship to the hypotenuse. And for tangent, what I'd like you to write is the opposite side in relationship to the adjacent. Now, everybody, you need to know the difference between the vocabulary words opposite and adjacent. Opposite means across from. So think about somebody being across from you as the opposite. Adjacent. Think of the words next to. Okay? Across from is different than next to. All right, so right now, the opposite side. You guys see the SOHCAHTOA? Sine refers to your opposite side in relationship to your hypotenuse. You see the O and the H? That's your shortcut to help you remember. What is sine? Opposite over hypotenuse. For adjacent side, just use the capital letter A. For the hypotenuse, use the capital letter H to make it like an abbreviation. Okay? And for the opposite over the adjacent, for TOA, you're going to put what? O over A. All right, at this point, what I'd like you to do, since we're dealing with what? Angle A, what I want you to do is I want you to draw an arrow going across and pointing at the 3. So since we're dealing with the sine of A, the cosine of A, and the tangent of A, I want you to label this side, in this particular case, is the opposite side. There we go. This is the opposite side. So this is the opposite side, and this is the hypotenuse. What does this side have to be over here? The adjacent side. Okay. So now we're going to use this information, so make sure you're paying attention. By the way, for you, what you're going to have to write down is you're going to have to write the full word down adjacent every single time. Since you are, we're going to write down the whole word here. Adjacent. Okay? That means next to. So right now, you guys would look at your numbers. Look at your numbers and your letters. What letter goes with my opposite side? What letter? A. Lowercase. Lowercase a. All right. So we're gonna compare right now. We're gonna compare a to the hypotenuse, which is c. Now, what did we give a? What's the number that we gave a? 3. What did we give c? 5. The hypotenuse. So we have the opposite side over the hypotenuse. Let's look at your adjacent side, which is what? Lowercase b over c. And what did we say b was equal to?
4.
4. So we're going to put a 4. And our hypotenuse is still a 5. And last but not least, our opposite side, my board is slowing down. It's lowercase a over lowercase b, and a is equal to 3, and b is equal to 4. Everybody, I'm going to highlight your ratios. Actually, I was boxing them. This is your ratio for sine. This is your ratio for cosine. This is your ratio for tangent. So I want you guys to write down right now. Move over here. What was the sine of A equal to? It was equal to what relationship? The opposite side over your hypotenuse, but 3 over 5. What about cosine? What was the cosine of A equal to?
4
over 5. And finally, what was the tangent of A? 3 over 4. Now, what you guys need to understand is all of these capital letters, that represents the measure of the angle. We already know the lengths of the sides, but now in trigonometry, we're going to be able to find the measure of an angle. We'll find the exact measure of angle A. Okay? So, by the way, if I wanted to solve for A, right now, typically, if you wanted to solve for A, what would you do to both sides to solve for A? What would you like? If I said solve for A, what would you like to do and see if you could do it? Okay, all right. How about this? What if I said 2 times A equals the number 10? What would you do to both sides? You divide both sides by 2. And what would you get? A equals what? 5. Okay, all right. Now, what if I do that exact same problem, Lennox? I do the exact same problem. I say 2 times A equals 10. And I say, by the way, Lennox, you need to solve for A, but you're not allowed to divide. What else could you do? Multiply by 0.5, also known as the reciprocal, known as 1/2. Now, you're not going to divide both sides by sine, okay? But you are going to multiply both sides by what's called the inverse of sine. So this is what I need you to put in your journal. Because if you don't, you might forget. Sorry, I should have bored these balls. Sometimes you have to. So by the way, everybody, can you guys see what I applied to both sides? Like, what the heck does sine to the -1 mean? It means the inverse of sine. Now what happens here is this inverse of sine cancels out this sine, and you're left with angle A is equal to what's called the inverse of the ratio that's 3/5. Now, how in the world do I type that into the graphing calculator to help me solve it? This is what you're going to learn right now. You're going to go to your graphing calculator, and you're going to notice right here, above sine, what do you see in blue? The inverse of sine. What do you see above cosine in blue? The inverse of cosine. And over here above tangent, you see the inverse of tangent. Now, if that's in blue, what do you have to hit first? Very good. So second sine. And you're going to type in 3 divided by 5, and you're going to press enter. And what do you get? 36.86. Now, what does that mean? What? 36.9 degrees. Did anybody not get 36.9? Oh, I'm glad. Because here's the next thing you're going to put in your journal, because if you forget this next step, I was hoping some people were not going to get that. Watch. Right now, for those of you who did not get this, hit the mode button. And I bet right now, your mode is not in degree mode. I bet your mode is in radian mode. So if you did not get 36.9 degrees, that means your mode was in what mode? Radian mode. So what am I trying to tell you? Put this in your journal. Make sure your calculator.
Wait, what's saying now?
Yep, unless somebody second plus 712. I'm going to put this in your journal. Make sure your calculator is in what mode? Degree. Put degree in capital letters. I hear that if you type things in capital letters, it means it's screaming at you or yelling at you. Right? I don't know. Leave it out. Degree mode. Yes, it's in degree mode. Because if you're not in degree mode, you'll get the wrong answer. All right, check this out. Next thing we're going to do. We're going to do the second cosine. And by the way, what was the ratio of cosine? It was 4 to 5, right? Yeah. Check it out. Look what angle you get. The exact same. Let's do second tangent. What do we compare? The 3 to the 4. What should you get? The exact same answer. What do each of these answers represent? All of these answers represent angle A. Now what I'm trying to convey to you is this. That you could use sine, cosine, or tangent all to find the exact same measure. So you don't always have to solve the whole triangle. You can use the sides that are given to you to find the measure of the angle. But what does your calculator have to be in? Degree mode. And by the way, you only use the inverse button when you're trying to find the angle. So only use the inverse. The inverse is the negative one. Only use that when you're trying to find the measure of an angle. All right, what we're going to do right now, we're going to do problems numbers 1 and 2, and then you're going to do the rest 3, 4, 5, and 6 on your own. So right now, what I'd like you to do, problem number 1 says we need to find the sine of what? The sine of A. So right now, I want you to shade in A. Here's A right there. Okay? Now, for the sine of A, I would like you to write the sine of A, because we're practicing here. The sine of A. Now that's going to equal my opposite side in relationship to the hypotenuse. So right now, what are we using? We're using this one right here. You should have it in your journal, but even if you did, you can look at what? Sine compares the opposite to the hypotenuse. Now, how do I know what my opposite side is? What I'd like you to do, here's how you do it. Yeah, from this angle, what you do is you draw an arrow going where? Going to the opposite. You draw an arrow. Draw an arrow going over here. And what are you going to call this side? You're going to call this side your opposite side. Now that's opposite of angle A. So what's my opposite side equal to? You're going to write 30. Now what did I say? Every single student should be able to identify at this point.
Okay.
The hypotenuse. Everybody should be able to identify a hypotenuse of a right triangle. Okay? We're going to put a 34 right there. Now this can be reduced, everybody. You can divide that by 2. You can divide that by 2. That's what? 15 over 17. By the way, when it says find the answer as a what? As a fraction. That is your answer as a fraction. And then it says, I want you to also find it as a what? Decimal. So let me explain to you what I want you to do as a decimal. Okay? So if you wanted, you could put this in your journal if you don't know this. Type in 15 divided by 17. I want you to press enter. Okay. Sorry. Now, everybody, that 8 right there is in the tens column. This 8 all the way down here is in the hundredths column. That 2 right here, all the way down there, that's in the thousandths. That's the thousandths. Now that 3, which is going to round to a 4 because it's a 5 or higher, that one right there, that's not in the tenths, hundredths, or thousandths. That's in the 10,000ths. So by the way, when it says round to the nearest 10,000th, what do I want you to do? I want you to round to which decimal place? The 4th decimal place. So this answer that you're going to put on problem number 1 is 0.8824. That's the answer, approximately rounded to the nearest 10,000th place. And thank you for all of you who don't know tenths, hundredths, thousandths, and 10,000ths for writing it down in your journal so that you have it for later. Okay? So what's the first column? Tenths. Next column? Hundredths. Thousandths. 10,000ths. Then this would be 100,000ths. And this would be millions. But we're going to stop there. We're going to stop at 10. Yeah, you keep multiplying by 10. Okay? Now, so what is your final answer going to be for that one? You're going to put 0.8824. There we go. So there's your decimal. There's your decimal to the nearest 10,000. Okie dokie. Last problem. Then you guys are going to be working on your own. Does everybody see where it says the tangent of B? Okay? So the tangent of B. So where do I have to go? What's my perspective now? I'm not going from A. I'm going from B. There we go. So here's angle B. Now what does the tangent of B, what is that going to compare? What does tangent compare? You have an O and you have an A. What does O represent? Opposite. So we have opposite, so I want you to put O over A. What does O represent? The opposite side. What does A represent? The adjacent side. So now we have to figure out what the opposite side is and what the adjacent side is. So from this perspective, right here. So what does 16 represent from angle B? 16 represents the opposite side. 34 is not the adjacent side. That's our hypotenuse. So the 30 has to be our adjacent side. So right now, what's my opposite side, everybody? 16. What's my adjacent side? 30. Now, is that divisible by 2? And that divisible by 2? What do we get? We get
8 over 15.
You what?
8 over 15.
Oh, yes. 8 over 15. Now, that's my answer as a what? As a fraction. Now, all you have to do is take the 8, divide it by the 15. You should see a nice repeating decimal.
1.53.
Right, so we're going to round it to the nearest what? Nope.
Oh,
10,000, which is the 4th decimal place. We'll put 0.5, 3, 3, 3, and stop. Why are we rounding all the way to the 10,000? Because the longer you round, the more accurate your answer would be. Okay? The more you round, the longer you're out here, the more accurate it's going to be. So this is your fraction, this is your decimal. I want you to do that for 3, 4, 5, and 6. Good luck.